What's up, everyone? It's the Interview Queen Alicia Toot here, and be sure to watch True Heel Heat.
All right, hello, True Heel Heat. I'm the AEW World Champion MJF. Just in case you're deaf, dumb, blind, stupid, or since you listen to this podcast poor, you're listening to True Heel Heat, and I apologize for that.
What's going on, everybody? This is your former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Once a champion, always a champion. Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. You're watching True Heel Heat podcast.
Hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our AEW Double or Nothing 2025 preview. Breaking down this Sunday show from Glendale, Arizona, as AEW has its third major pay-per-view of 2025, and we're going to determine who is the Owen Hart Cup winners for the men and the women. We got Anarchy in the arena and 3 title matches to discuss, and to do that, I am joined by my esteemed colleagues over here. First up, we got the MC of the past, present, and future of New Japan Pro Wrestling here on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. But yes, he does dabble in the world of All Elite. He is J News. How are you feeling?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. As a matter of fact, I'm coming off watching last night's episode of Collision right before we got on here to make sure I'm caught all up with what's going on. But hello to everyone in the chat, and hello to everybody watching out there on the stream. And yeah, man, I guess we got 10 matches to go through at this point. So
always with the AEW shows, always, you know the deal. And someone who knows the deal here for us on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, our friend that we always try to call up, despite him being one of the busiest men in wrestling media, doing great work all the time. I could be up at like 8 a.m. for me here, but if I was in New York, 3 a.m. and he's watching something from Japanese pro wrestling, or he's watching an old wrestling match, one of the best kind of knowledgeable minds in wrestling media when it comes to breaking down matches. You see his work over at the WrestlePurists and the Late Night Grin. The one and only Joe Hulbert is here. How are you feeling?
What an intro, brother. It gets better every time. So that's the drug that keeps me coming back, you know. But I'm great. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad J News is caught up on everything, because I'm not, but I'm here for good vibes. And, you know, like a true worker, I'm loyal to promoters who are loyal to me. So I owed my brother SP3 a town. We're here to make that right. I missed last time out, and with AEW, every time you do like the preview previews, it feels like a lot's changed. But because I missed the middle one, it feels like a lot has changed. The last time I was here, we were talking about Cope and Moxley, and AEW is a crazy promotion, dude. It's a wild promotion. So happy to be here, excited for Double or Nothing, and we have a lot to talk about, obviously.
Yes, we got a lot to break down. 10 matches already announced, and God knows what else he's gonna put on a buy-in, since he only has one match announced for the buy-in. So we're gonna talk all about it. We appreciate y'all if you're joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back. The simplest way possible is by dropping a thumbs up on the video. That helps the YouTube algorithms. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, you can sound off in the live chat. If you're with us live, we'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you want to show your support to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel and our continued coverage of AEW, you can do so with a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here, and we always appreciate the support. And if you're watching us on demand, let us know in the comments down below what you're looking forward to at AEW Double or Nothing, and give us some predictions on what you think is going to go down this Sunday in Glendale, Arizona. But as always, we got a lot to discuss, a lot to go through. We got I Make Beats in the chat who says, what's good, THH fam? Another loaded weekend of wrestling. Let's go. Yeah, 3 major shows, 2 from WWE, 1 from AEW. I think TNA has a show tonight. I mean, I've seen the card. I broke down the card, and it's a show.
Yeah.
It's a show. Certainly a show. Great card. Have you been keeping up with TNA at least, Joe?
I actually, to an embarrassing degree, yes. I'm working on like a video essay because we'll get back on track in a minute. But I'm fascinated by TNA because like it's the most successful they've been in many years, and I can't. The maths equation doesn't work. Like my brain can't figure it out. So I'm doing like a deep dive. It genuinely fascinates me because I think it's the worst it's been in a while, but it's the hottest it's been in a while too. So I'm just kind of like, I don't interesting.
Maybe we don't know what we're talking about, which is always very likely with me. Half the time I don't know what I'm talking about, but sometimes I look at those TNA cards and I'm like, really? Did they actually sold out for this?
Right. Dude. It genuinely intrigues me. Like I'm trying to figure it out slowly.
We got Zach Meager saying hello, everyone. Gary Carter II got Vala. He says it's going to be a long weekend as a wrestling fan. He says also, I was happy with the 8-match card. Then they added 2 more matches. At least 1 is on the buy-in. So it's a 9-match card. 9 matches on a AEW pay-per-view. That's modest. Perfect is 8 for Tony Khan, but modest is 9. Sometimes, especially you remember, you was here with us, Joe, with Double or Nothing, 2022, when he had like 57 matches on the card.
That was the show where they like killed time for the NBA playoffs. Do you remember that? They like hold the pay-per-view up.
Who was that game? Wasn't it like Boston and Miami in Game 7 or something like that?
That's what it was, yeah. And so like I think Punk and Hangman went on after 4.5 hours or something like that. It was bonkers.
It was ridiculous. We also got RP Jesus who says, saw J News and thought I clicked on a New Japan video. You're so known for our New Japan videos, J News, that people get confused even though it says it in the title.
I'm not necessarily knowing if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if it's shade or not from RP Jesus. We go back and forth from here from time to time, but it's all right, brother. It's all love at the end of the day. But yeah, man, it's all good. At the end of the day, we got some New Japan stuff coming in the coming weeks. So,
Indeed. How you liking Best of Super Juniors? I liked it until the last couple of shows kind of been
The first week of it was very exciting. The last show I watched, which was yesterday's show, wasn't where I thought it would, where it should be per se. But we're trucking along, man. We're trucking along. You know what I'm saying?
I know there's other promotions in Japan, but can they like do a whole Best of Super Juniors in Kurgan Hall? The Kurgan Hall glow makes those Best of Super Juniors shows feel like great. But when they get out of Kurgan Hall, it always just like, we were at a high in those 2 10-match cards in Kurgan Hall. What was it, last weekend or the weekend before? I was like, I'm loving Best of Super Juniors. This is like one of my favorites. And then the last week has just been like, huh.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they got a tour, man. They got a tour.
Fair. That's fair. We got also in the chat with us RP Jesus, who says, I was at that Double or Nothing in 2022 and didn't get out till after 11. So because that was in Vegas. So that means that the show started at like 5 p.m. Vegas time. Yo.
It was wild, dude. And like the Owen finals were both just forgettable undercard matches. It was a very strange show. And obviously it led to things we don't need to relitigate here.
Yeah, I just literally like went in my memories museum and I'm like, yeah, the Owen finals was Joe and Cole and Baker and Soho.
Yep. Both like 12-minute matches. Just in the middle.
We've come a long way.
Yeah. True.
We also got a super chat donation here from Chi-Town Spurs. Thank you so much, Chi-Town Spurs. We appreciate the support as always. He says, because this is the first live pod I've seen Joe on since Wednesday, it means SP3 gets my Spurs won a trophy super chat. Thank you so much. Double or Nothing looks fantastic. Maybe the strongest card it's ever had, in my opinion. But anyway, we did it, Joe. Wara Trophy Arsenal. I don't know any of these terms, but you can explain.
It was a triumphant occasion. I'm very out of the loop nowadays. I don't have time to watch real sports anymore. I only watch professional wrestling, the realest sport of all. But I did allow myself to get swept up in the final and the excitement. Tottenham defeating Manchester United. It was a great time. Chi-Town Spurs is a very generous fella. I mean, this is pretty awesome, right?
That's huge.
You get a trophy for Tottenham winning a trophy. That's how much it means to us, So pretty sick. Tottenham had not won a trophy in 17 years. So it's a pretty big deal for us. So, shout out to Chi-Town Spurs. But big times, brother. Big times. We're not even a good team, which made it better, It almost feels, it's like when TNA ever sold out a house. It's like, man, we did it with this.
Like, what are we about to try?
It's going to be crazy when we have a good show. It's going to be crazy out there.
Appreciate you so much, Chi-Town Spurs. That's a very generous super chat donation. So definitely thank you and congratulations to the Spurs, as well as congratulations to Joe here. I know you guys have to be happy. Have you been able to catch up on any of the NBA? Because man, I've been talking about it ever since it happened. That Knicks and Pacers game is one of the greatest NBA playoff games of all time.
That is the first game I actually was able to like properly watch because I haven't had time. I'm following along obviously because I love the NBA, but dude, that game was incredible. And I was saying to the boys, if Halliburton's foot isn't on the line, that would have been one of the most insane finishes. As someone that's been on the other end of an insane finish in NBA playoff history, dude, that was an amazing moment. And I mean, the whole game was filled with amazing moments. The Brunson air ball at the end was like an ultimate. Oh Jesus, it was. And I'm a neutral full on with that. I'm not got a horse in the race, so to speak. But it's just a great game.
Yeah, I'm from New York, but I'm probably the only New Yorker who has a deep hatred for the Knicks because I don't like how New Yorkers act when the Knicks win. So I do think that they had the better team between them and the Spurs. I'm saying Spurs again. Them and the Pacers. Because I felt like I had the Knicks going to the conference finals at the beginning of the year, but I thought they would face Boston, and obviously they were ready for Boston and beat the bricks off of them. But I didn't have that much faith in the Pacers, and I said Brunson, he's ready for his moment to win this, which they still can, but that was a heartbreaker. That's
the thing. I do think they're the better team, but that's the kind of loss that, you need to come back strong in game 2 because mentally that you've basically thrown a game away there, basically. That's a little unfair because obviously Neesmith's freeze. The thing that was crazy was, dude, the Knicks were still they were still scoring with their possessions, but the Freeze were just chopping their lead down like one by one. It was crazy. Crazy.
I said Neesmith became Klay Thompson. He thought it was game 6. It was like, yo, like, and he was 43% from 3 before that game, but that I don't think anyone expected him to have that type of game, especially down the stretch. 5 threes in the fourth quarter.
Dude, some of those threes, like if you did them on 2K, you'd be like, that was kind of fake, you know? You'd have to turn the difficulty sliders up, bro. Some of those threes were disgusting. Just fucking chucking, like it was crazy, man. Crazy.
Loved it. All-timer classic with the Knicks and Pacers, and we'll see what happens in game 2. We got another super chat donation here from Vala. Thank you so much, Vala, for the support. He says, the upside is that next year's Double or Nothing won't be in Vegas either. Yes, we're going to talk all about that news, the big news of the week, which was WrestleMania being pulled from New Orleans tomorrow on the flagship, 10:05 a.m. Eastern time. Join us for that. But what was your reaction to that pull from NOLA yesterday?
I mean, I just laughed. That was funny. It's just insane, right? It's a really weird time. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, and that was Chief Among. They did a TV announcement from New Orleans.
Yo, I have my whole conspiracy theory, Joe. You want to hear it?
Yes.
I think Triple H purposely told Rock New Orleans to make him look bad. He knew he tells him New Orleans, go out there, you can announce New Orleans. And then he turns to Bruce, he's like, little does he know we're going back to Vegas.
I am intrigued if it has any impact on like international, because a lot of people flew it. I'm not flying it again, I'll tell you that much for sure, bro. My bank account ain't doing that again ever, let alone to Vegas again. So I do wonder if less people fly in this time around, but it don't bother me that much. I just think it's kind of stupid to be honest. Which is my reaction to a lot of the stuff they do. I just kind of go, that's pretty stupid, you know? Weird.
Yeah. And I said it yesterday on the AEW Dynamite review. Like, really, like the perception war is the only thing that AEW is catching ground in with WWE. You're not going to catch WWE when it comes to money or selling out shows or anything like that. The ratings, that's kind of the dead issue at this point. But perception-wise, like we said, before we went on there, AEW's TV and storytelling has been much stronger in 2025 in comparison to like the last 2 years. Whereas WWE, you could really see creatively and TV wise, they're taking their foot off the gas and they're just kind of like, hey, they're basically like TNA. We're like, we got a sellout show for this. Like, we could just do anything at this point. It's like, they're basically like the 2000 Lakers in the regular season where they're just like, doesn't matter. By January, everybody will be here. They'll be here for WrestleMania. They'll be here for the big shows. It doesn't matter what we put out there.
Yeah, there's definitely a complacency. It's it'll be interesting if it just like what it feels like is going to happen is their hot streak will just kind of fade, and then we'll settle into this sort of AEW is a distant second now, and I mean that like with love and respect, but it just is, right? You can't you just mentioned it. There's a lot of metrics they're just not going to catch up on, and that's fine. It is what it is. They're successful. They're doing their thing. The question is, what does that look like when WWE isn't red hot? Like, and then are we back to like late 2000s WWE TNA dynamic? Like, is it like that then? I don't know. I mean, obviously AEW's healthier than that, but it will be interesting, man. Like, when WWE fully falls off metric-wise, number-wise, it'll be interesting if anything changes for the other companies. We shall see. I presume not, to be honest. I think those people just stop watching wrestling. We'll see. Because I think that's already happening. Like, even in my personal life, there are people I know that got back in for the Cody finish the story that just like they've just lost them over the last year. They don't care anymore. So it's a shame.
It is. It's sad that you're absolutely right. It's probably going to be people who just stop watching wrestling altogether. Yeah. We got BJ Dixon in the chat saying, "What's up, everybody? I hope that MJF gets involved in some way during the match at Double or Nothing. I hope not, because Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin shouldn't need help to beat up 54-year-old Dustin Rhodes. That's just
56.
56. See, I was taking off 2 years for him. God,
I can do that because I'm the one Dustin defender, so I can do that. I'm allowed to mind how old he is, but that's fine. We'll get to it.
All right, when we get to that match, you're gonna have to defend that promo on Wednesday. God damn.
Some things are indefensible. Some things you have to just let be. You know?
2FK says Hangman stands crashing out at the prospect of him losing. They need to grow up and accept that he's not the guy anymore and learn the lyrics to elevate it.
Yeah, he cooked him. He lit him up.
I was like, God damn. I literally got in an argument with Jeremy because Jeremy was like, he thinks AEW fans are more emotionally connected and would be more upset if Hangman is not the winner and if he loses at All in Texas. And I'm just like, I mean, the guy is swole, but we'll talk about that match for sure. Yeah. We'll talk more in depth about that. J News, everything good? I know you're I got your message. I couldn't have time to answer it because
no, everything's fine at the end of the day. Computer doing computer things. So it is what it is.
Absolutely. So before we get into everything, we want to give you the notice because there was a lot of changes in regards to how AEW viewing of this pay-per-view is. So I uploaded the graphic here so you can all learn how you can watch AEW Double or Nothing this Sunday for you guys in the United States, Canada, in the UK, Prime Video, as well as if you're in the UK and internationally, Triller.tv. Triller.tv is not holding AEW Double or Nothing in the United States. I know they got a lot of people upset on social media this week, so this is why I uploaded this graphic here. But around the world, US, you got a bunch of different other options: YouTube, YouTube TV, pay-per-view.com, Fubo, Tom's Nationwide, Main Event in Australia, Dave and Beltzer's Nationwide in the United States, and cable and satellite. So just so everybody's aware, don't worry, I will have this graphic up at the end of the preview as well. But as always, what we do with these pay-per-view previews, 0 to 10, your anticipation level, how much you are hype for this Sunday show. We'll start with you, J News. How excited are you for Double or Nothing?
How excited am I? I mean, at this point, man, with how good and how hot the AEW product has been over the last several months, I'm at a good 8.5 with everything right now because I'm really into everything. Even the freaking Death Rider storyline has taken a turn that I'm siding with for this particular match. So because I love the Anarchy and the arena matches, so I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all for it in that particular regard. I have a legitimate stake in almost all the matches that are on the card. I still have we'll get to it when we get to the individual matches. There's like maybe a one match or two matches that are like just because I haven't necessarily liked the road that they've taken to get to these matches per se. And we'll discuss that as we get into the matches and stuff like that. But a good 8.5, I'm on with this, and them making Hanger and Will Ospreay the main event of the card took it over the top for me. So that's why I'm at a good excitement level right now.
Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I'm a similar spot. I'd say around an 8, and for me, that's probably as high as it can be because I'm not as tapped into the TV, right? Like, so for me, I think that says a lot about how good the quality of the matches appears to be. There's a couple matches that specifically I would buy the pay-per-view just to watch those, and we'll get to those when we cover match by match. But it's very strong. I agree with Jay News that there is a power to that selection of main event. It does kind of give you an indication as to the kind of match they're going to wrestle. And look, obviously, Will and Hangman in any spot, you think you're pretty confident that's going to be great. But in the main event, I think you can kind of put your feet up and go, they're going to go crazy here. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to like about AEW lately, and there's a lot to like about this card. There's obviously a couple throwaways, and that's inevitable with any wrestling promotion ever. But I think this is a pay-per-view card that's reflective of the TV they've been putting out recently, which is the biggest compliment I can give it.
Yeah, I'm right there with Joe. I'm at 8 out of 10. I know there's people like Chase who said the Owen matches are carrying it for me, and definitely those are the top 2 matches for a reason. But I think everything else is going to be good to great on this card. I think Anarchy in the Arena has a different lineup that makes it a lot more intriguing than the last 2 Anarchy in the Arena matches, and the fact that it's not closing the show, I think it's going to leave room for it to probably be better perceived than the last two matches. Even though 2 years ago with BCC and the Elite, I thought that was a great one. Last year, it felt like they had to kind of like just had to go too outrageous, too out there, where it didn't live up to what it needed to. So I think that not putting it in the main event spot, I think it's gonna leave it room to try new things. But the lineup itself gets me excited for it because there's stars involved. There's people that I'm interested to see in this format that I know are going to be great in this format as well. So I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued on what type of surprises will be there as well. I think everything else, like the Timeless Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa, I've seen them before deliver. I know they can deliver in this spot as well. And I think Mina's going to be motivated because this is her first official pay-per-view as an official member of the roster. The stretcher match with Mark Briscoe and Ricochet, I know the purpose of it, but this is going to over deliver because of our expectations being low for it. It's going to over deliver in the spot you have. So there's multiple matches that I'm looking forward to. Plus there's some potential surprises as well. I would say this is probably the best AEW Double or Nothing card since 2021, probably when they were first like the first one in front of fans after the pandemic. The 2021 one started kind of a great run of pay-per-views for AEW, and it feels like that vibe is back as far as the perception of the company. It's in a much better position than it was 6 months ago than it is right now. So that's why I think this is going to probably be the best Double or Nothing since 4 years ago as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
I agree. And I think even in terms of just the talent, you could argue it is even stronger than that 2021 show. Right now, obviously, the magic of that show is hard to replicate after so long without a full crowd. But as just you look at the talent, I mean, I'm just looking at the names here. It's like, it's an all-star card. It's a spectacular lineup. So it has a chance to be the one. I definitely agree.
So let's start off with the buy-in, as we have one official match announced for the buy-in for this Sunday. It's going to be tag team action from the women's division, as Megan Bayne will team up with Penelope Ford to verse the team of Anna Jay and Harley Cameron. Anna Jay made her return to AEW just a couple of weeks back, where Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford targeted her and attacked her, a 2-on-1 beatdown. She got some help from her Coachella sister in Harley Cameron, who stepped up to the plate to challenge Megan Bayne a couple of weeks back on Collision, with Megan Bayne picking up the victory there. Anna Jay came out to make the save. They've had a couple of different run-ins since then. Megan Bayne picking up a win over Anna Jay in one-on-one competition on AEW Collision Beach Break. And then last night on Collision, they made this match official tag team action for the buy-in, the pre-show of AEW Double or Nothing. This is not like I'm hoping that, you know, the fact that they have her on the card is a good sign, because sometimes people will get a shot at the AEW Women's World title and then they're just not on any of these major shows for a couple of months. So it is a good sign. I want more from Megan Bayne because they built her up so well for that matchup with Timeless Tony Storm at Dynasty. And, you know, her taking the loss, I didn't think she lost anything in the way that she lost to Tony, but I was hoping for a lot stronger of a follow-up after that, if you understand where I'm saying. But the fact that she's on this show is a good thing. Harley Cameron is always entertaining. Anna Jay will be entertaining because she's next to Harley Cameron. And I think Penelope Ford has been good in this kind of sidekick role to the Megasis. Joe, what do you think about this matchup, and who do you think wins on Sunday?
Yeah, I agree with you really across the board. I think this is an example of the mid-card being kind of thin, right? In the sense that you're working Tony and then suddenly you drop to what feels like a big drop. But if you look around, I think they've not done a great job of establishing a true mid-card. Partly because the TBS title just kind of feels like a second world title, right? So it's very hard to kind of have like a sort of, hierarchy, if you will. But nonetheless, I think this Harley Cameron Anna Jay thing is a really good idea, because Anna Jay is someone who I think has really struggled to convey or project her natural personality on camera. And the idea, I think, is that anyone is going to show personality standing alongside Harley Cameron, because she kind of forces you to, and they're actually friends, right? So I think that's a good idea. And that's always a good way to bring people's personality out on camera. So I like that. This is not the time for them to be winning. I think this is a good example, a good chance for Megan Bayne to get a win. with the pay-per-view spotlight kind of shining here on 0 Hours. So I'm with you, and I'm glad Penelope's got a role, and it's a good spot for her. Inevitably, Megan's going to kill Penelope eventually, right? But for what this is fun, and I think it's a good chance to get Megan Bain a win in what should be a neat undercard match.
Jay News, what about you?
This is one of the matches where I felt like the build towards it kind of like left me in the void. It's just one of those things where Megan beat each one of the ladies she's facing individually. So like now to do a tag match, especially with how Penelope's been positioned on AEW TV right now, she's a sidekick. It's like, does this really matter? Like, what's the crux of all this? And I get it. They're on TV. It's a storyline, right? Have the women be relevant on some sort of footing. But for me, it just hasn't hit. Keeping Megan relevant and obviously dominant is the key here, right? But they've been able to do that without this. So I feel like, to Joe's point, the way that they've been structuring this story, it's really more or less to see if they can get anything out of Anna personality wise. And it's been working, which is cool. But depending as to wherever they go after this, I'm not too sure if this does anything really for any of the ladies outside of what they've been doing for Anna specifically, trying to just bolster her personality and giving her a character on TV. So I mean, a win is a win is a win in this particular thing, from a business standpoint. So cool. But I do expect the Janela girls to win this one.
I thought I was the only one who was referring to them as the Janela girls. When they first got paired up, I was like, they have something in common, but I don't know if they really want to go in that direction. But
right. No.
The Spring Break girls, we'll call them.
There you go.
But yeah, I agree with what you guys are putting down. But yeah, I'm going with Bain and Ford. Bain and Ford is the obvious kind of winners of this matchup. Give Megan Bain a strong victory. I think the next time she has something kind of big is, I feel like in the future she's going to get into the TBS title race, whether that's against Mercedes Moné or whoever dethrones Mercedes. I think that by the end of the year, though, Megan Bain should win one of these titles in AEW.
Yeah, I agree. I think with the TBS. Go for it, Janice.
Oh no! What I was going to say was, I think they, if they want to continue to build Megan Bain as this world beater, dominator type, but also like a hard hitting type, or whatever the case is. To Joe's point about having a good mid card, like there's other ladies on the roster that she can face off with that'll probably give her a good run for her money. Be it a Nyla Rose, be it Hikaru Shida. She hasn't faced off with a lot of the girls on the roster and stuff like that. So they can definitely go that route if they want to stick with her, or stick her in the singles realm and stuff like that. And then she can go after the TBS championship, because like then mounting her off to Mercedes is like, let's be real here. From a physical aspect, does Mercedes have a chance? I don't think so.
Well, she shouldn't. She definitely shouldn't. But that's what I say. In the future, I think right that for the short term, there's more ladies on the mid card that she can mix it up with. But she's already picked up like wins against Chris Statlander and Thunder Rosa. Those are stuff that they probably could get more out of if they run it back, especially with someone like a Thunder Rosa. But we got to see. We'll see what happens there. We got Chilling with Chase, who says, I'm going to go with my heart and choose Harley and Anna. I mean, this probably not your heart you're choosing with. That's all I'm saying. I know you, Chase. I'm just saying. I know you, Chase. But let's talk about the main card for AEW Double or Nothing, which I think outside of like one matchup, there's only like one matchup on the main card that I'm just like, it's kind of here. But this is not one of them, actually. Even though the build is all concentrated on last night's Collision, I'm very much interested in this because it has a whole bunch of hoopers in this damn matchup. It's going to be a trios matchup as the Paragons, TNT champion Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Don Callis families, Konosuke Takeshita, Josh Alexander, and Kyle Fletcher. On last night's Collision, the Callis family of Takeshita and RPG Vice picked up a victory over Bandito and the Outrunners. Then Kyle Fletcher picked up a win over Jay Lethal with Adam Cole on commentary throughout the night. He did not like the Callis family jumping Lethal post-match, so it led to the Paragon making the save for Lethal. After that, Paragon picked up a win over the Grizzled Young Veterans, which led to Cole issuing a challenge to the Don Callis family for a trios matchup at Double or Nothing. Calix accepted the challenge on behalf of the family, saying that he would give him the big three of the Don Callis family for the first time teaming up together on pay-per-view at Double or Nothing. Takeshita, Fletcher, and Josh Alexander, who also picked up a win against another one of Cole's friends, AR Fox, on last night's Collision. Like I said, all of it went down on last night's Collision, but I thought it was, I like when there's a show-long narrative in AEW, because they very rarely do it, and that was kind of the show-long narrative for last night's show, where they kind of gave that build a whole night to kind of develop piece by piece. And like I said, these are all hoopers. This is going to be one where the expectations are probably low because it's not much of a build, but when the bell rings, they're going to ball the hell out. J News, who do you got?
As for what happened last night on Collision, I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to my good brothers, the Grizzled Young Veterans, for doing the goddamn job that they did on Collision last night against the Paragon, because those dudes need more TV time. I love me some GYV, man. But anyways, as per this match, to SP3's point, no build, but give me all the wrestling at the end of the day. This with these six guys. Yeah, man. I thought this was going to be on the pre-show, to be quite honest. I thought this would have been one of those matches that would have joined the ladies' match and stuff like that, and then they would have gone to the main show. But yeah, this is all about hoops. It's all about hoops. I expect there to be a good 12 to 13 minutes of action, and it all be a clusterfuck, and it just be great for the audience, and it'll be a good match to hopefully start off the show, to be quite honest. So, yeah, I'm for the win. Who do I go with here? The Don Callis family. I'm the way that they were gearing stuff towards yesterday on Collision. It seems like Kyle Fletcher will be going after that TV championship in the not so distant future. So yeah, DCF for the win.
Yeah, to your point, yeah, I'm going with the Don Callis family as well. And I'm going to specifically say Fletcher pins Cole to set up the TNT championship feud between them, because I think that would be a nice direction to go with Fletcher. But this is something that me and Joel talk about every single AEW pay-per-view. This is the match that I think is most important where they place it on the card. Yeah. If it's the opener or second or third matchup, it's going to cook, and it might be one of the better matches. Might be a dark horse for a match of the night. If they have it later in the show, there's a chance it will go off, but I think because of the people that's involved, and it's going to be the prototypical AEW party match, I think that it can deliver anywhere on the card, but I think that if it's going to be at its best early on. What do you think, Joe? Who you got?
Yeah, I agree with the point about the placement. I think there's a chance it's used kind of as a buffer, which would obviously lower the ceiling considerably, right? But I mean, either way, I think this is going to be a really fun time. I was really happy this was added, actually. I think sometimes AEW pay-per-views, they lack that kind of variety of, there was that one show, I think it was, maybe it was Full Gear, where it was just like 7 consecutive singles matches that went long, or something to that effect. Yeah. It's just, sometimes it's nice to have different dynamics and different feels. A 6-man tag allows you that. The appeal here for me personally, I want to see Roddy specifically in there with all 3 of those guys, right? Like him locking up with Takeshita, him and Fletcher having a 20-minute match on a Collision would be wonderful. And in addition, him and Josh, I don't think they've ever worked. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm not sure, but yeah, that should be fun, and I think this will be a very, very good time. Be intrigued how long this gets, because I think it will depend on what we just mentioned, right? The kind of placement element of it. But as to the finish, I agree with you guys. There's a chance for Kyle Fletcher to get a pay-per-view win, and I think he's taking that belt very, very soon. I don't think there's much reason to wait. I mean, we've all loved Adam Cole. I just don't it's time to put a belt on Kyle, right? Or something to that effect. Yeah. So, Don Callis family win in what I think will be a really fun 6-man tag.
And they really haven't done much with Cole. I feel like Cole's done more commentary than wrestling since he won the TNT championship. So
that's been the inconsistent part with it, because there hasn't been necessarily any information out there to the likes of, is Adam hurt? Is he still concussed? Do we not know? Do we know? Like there's been just rumor and innuendo about it. So yeah, to your point, SP3, it hasn't really been much of a title run for Adam Cole. And I understand keeping him on TV, but him not wrestling has been a detriment to his run for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, like you guys both said, I think that he's the guy. Kyle Fletcher is the guy that needs to kind of take that TNT championship and revive it a bit, because we've gone through a couple of different reigns which had high expectations and kind of faltered, between Jack Perry and Garcia, and now this one with Cole. Like, I feel like Kyle Fletcher, though, is someone that they are invested in, so they can prop up the title. It's the guy making the title instead of the title making the guy, which has been the issue with the Garcia and Perry reigns.
Yes. Who did Jack Perry beat for the belt? Please remind me.
He won the Vega title after Adam Copeland decided to jump off the cage last year at
That's right. Okay, that's why I couldn't remember. I'm actually happy that it wasn't me just like forgetting matches. You know, I was thinking, like, what? Okay, I remember now. Yeah, I thank you, brother. Okay, there you go. This should be good though.
There should be another match that I think has probably low expectations but will over deliver, because this is what Mark Briscoe does in the first ever stretcher match in AEW history. It will be Mark Briscoe going one-on-one, in my opinion, with the best heel in wrestling, Ricochet. This one has been kind of brewing over the last couple of months. Both of these guys were involved in the $400,000 multi-man explosive tag team matchup about a month or so back on AEW Dynamite, with Mark Briscoe's team picking up the victory. Ricochet had a personal vendetta against every man in that matchup because they stole money from him. As he said, he faced Mark Briscoe on Dynamite a couple of weeks back, with Briscoe actually picking up the victory. Post-match, Ricochet attacked him with a steel chair. He threatened to use the gold scissors against him as well, but he was stopped by Kevin the Jet Knight. They once again crossed paths after Ricochet pulled the dastardly job by stealing the leg of Zach Gowen and then beating him on AEW Dynamite Beach Break. It was Mark Briscoe who came out to make the save for Zach Gowen due to their relationship back when Zach was working in Ring of Honor and became friends with the Briscoes. And then that led to Mark making the challenge to Ricochet for a stretcher match at Double or Nothing. Why is a stretcher match? That's I guess open to interpretation, because there's not really a reason why it's a stretcher match. The only thing that I wish that AEW just would have straight up said, because with the video they did on social media with the background music basically being the same music they used for Sabu a couple of years back when he made his appearance in AEW, just say it's a tribute to Sabu. Just say it. Just say it. Why not just say it? Then that would make more sense than just making it an unsaid thing. I wish they would have just said that. But this also is a purpose, and I'll give my prediction now. The whole purpose of this is that even though he's been here for a year, Ricochet has never won on pay-per-view. He lost in his debut at All In London. He lost against Takeshita with Will Ospreay in the triple threat at Wrestle Dream. Lost against Takeshita again at Full Gear. He lost to Okada at World's End. Lost to Swerve at Revolution. Lost to Kenny Omega in the three-way with Speedball for the international title last month at Dynasty. So it's about damn time we give the best heel in the company a win on pay-per-view. So I'm going with Ricochet. Joe, what have you thought about the build to this matchup? Who do you think wins?
Yeah, I've got Ricochet here too. I think this is this may quietly, like, this may creep up on people and steal the show, to be honest with you. If you just look at the ingredients here, it's like Ricochet's a heel with momentum, maybe their best heel, as you said. I think Mark Briscoe, you could argue, is their best babyface. Like, both guys are nuts. Mark Briscoe, especially on a pay-per-view stage, can do just about anything, especially when you got the stipulation. Like, I don't know. I just look at this. I mean, the build, to be honest, is secondary for me. Just like looking at the recipe, it's like I think this could be incredible. I definitely think it's going to be crazy either way. So very high hopes for this. I think it really may surprise people. I agree Ricochet's going to win. I mean, the beauty of Mark Briscoe is you can beat Mark Briscoe, right? And I think sometimes they probably go to that well a little more than they should. But Mark Briscoe's, I truly believe he's like one of the best wrestlers in the whole promotion, man. Like every time he's out there, and that's not just like Ricochet has been great, but Mark Briscoe is just incredible. So anytime he's wrestling, I'm watching, and I'm excited to see what they do here with this insane stipulation at their hands.
Sure, Jay News, what have you thought about the build? Who do you think wins on the night?
Build? Ain't no build to this match, man.
Hey, there's been a little bit more build than Paragon and Don Callis family.
This is the second match of all the matches that I wanted to talk about where I was unhappy with the build. Ain't no build here. We just threw in a stretcher match for the sake of having a stretcher match. But why the hell not, right? At this point. Look, man, I can't say enough about Chicken Dog. Like, I love to watch him. He is now the proverbial underdog in every match, and he wrestles his ass off. And I love that. I've always loved that about him, man. And he's carrying that Briscoe name with a lot of pride in every match that he goes out there to do. Rico right now can't do any wrong for me on TV. He's just perfect in his role at what he's been doing. And him getting a win on pay-per-view finally seems to be the main objective of this match. So that's where we're going to go. I do expect someone getting thrown off the stretcher spot during the stretcher match. I do expect a stretcher to be broken during this match, scissors to be involved in some sort of a way, maybe a crazy ass Cactus Jack stage dive. If not, I expect that to happen in this match. And yeah, I can't disagree with either of you here. Ricochet for the win, because he needs it on pay-per-view. And I'm sure Mark Briscoe, they'll put Mark Briscoe in something come Dynamite or whatever. They still have to close the loop on the whole Gabe Kidd thing. So I'm sure they got it.
You're like, I still remember.
They put it part of the video package for
Gabe, yeah.
Promo shit. So it's like they got to close that loop too, man. So he's got, Mark Briscoe's got stuff to do at the end of the day. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this match, regardless of the fact that there's no build or not, because it's the two of them. Like Joe said, the recipe of it just leads to barn burner greatness and crazy stuff. So I'm all for it.
That's true. This one is a match that I think has exceeded expectations in my mind as far as the build to the matchup, as we're going to get a big grudge tag team matchup of FTR with Stokely Hathaway facing the team of Daniel Garcia and Ring of Honor legend Nigel McGuinness. Of course, the last time we saw FTR on pay-per-view, they turned their back on their best friend Cope, laying him out with a pair of concertos. Since then, we've seen a very condescending FTR who gave a fake apology. Then they were told by Tony Schiavone, Dax was told that he's made his daughter should be ashamed of him, which led to FTR turning on Tony Schiavone, looking like they were going to spike power drive him, which led to Nigel McGuinness coming in to make the save and drawing the ire of FTR. But Daniel Garcia also came out when it looked like FTR was going to attack Nigel. It led to FTR pushing down Danny and basically trying to bring him in, saying that they're still his friend. But then they destroyed Daniel Garcia's best friends in 2.0, Daddy Magic and Cool Hand. And we still haven't seen And since that matchup, basically. And after the matchup, Danny came in to stop them from continuing the assault. And FTR turned on Daniel Garcia as well, laying him out with a spike power driver. Since then, Garcia has been trying to get his redemption on FTR. He faced Dax Harwood a couple of weeks back on Collision, where Dax got into the face of Nigel McGuinness, and it triggered Nigel enough to come off of the commentary desk and attack both members of FTR. FTR wanted an apology, but then Stokely actually goaded Nigel into taking this matchup when Garcia asked Nigel to fight by his side against FTR and made Nigel have no other choice but to accept this and accept the challenge from FTR. They had a great segment on Collision where that Albuquerque, New Mexico crowd was very much into booing FTR out of the building, and I thought they added some really good heat to this matchup. Nigel is trying to stop FTR from trying to come after the commentators and has made them promise that they will stop getting in the faces of Tony Schiavone and himself moving forward after this one matchup, while FTR promised to end the career of Nigel McGuinness. Joe, what have you thought about the build to this matchup, and who do you think wins on Sunday?
I have loved everything about this, man. This has been my thing. In all of wrestling, it's been like my favorite thing since FTR turned. I think it's been so well done. The way they've used different parts of it, like you mentioned, 2.0, how effective that part of the TV was, and using Schiavone and the way they built to Nigel's. I think this whole thing has been just tremendous. And this is the match the one I mentioned earlier, alluded to. This is the one that I would watch regardless of what was surrounding. I'm just very, very excited. I think this is a great matchup for Nigel at this point in his career where he can be a babyface. And part of the story is he kind of knows the bit off more than they can chew, right? Wrestling a team of FTR's caliber. And then you can get a lot out of that as him being kind of sympathetic, which was a different dynamic to he had against Dragon. And even Lee, for that matter. Garcia is a wrestler who has, I think, been a little bit up and down in the last year or so, but how great was he in that match with Dax Harwood? I mean,
fantastic.
Just terrific TV main event. Triple superplex. I've never seen that before and probably will never see it again. That was crazy. So, yeah, I think this whole thing has been superb, and I'm really excited for the match. This is the biggest one that, for me personally, obviously, I'm like, man, I hope they don't get put on hour 3 after some crazy match. I want them to have the people.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to watch it. FTR are going to get the win. I think they pin Nigel because Nigel's really shown I don't think he's that bothered about that part at this point. I think it's fun to him being out there. So I think FTR win, and we're building towards, the big Copeland return and presumably Christian alongside him eventually. So very, very excited, man. This is my kind of wrestling right here. And I'm really happy for Dan to be in here because this is like a big spot for him, I think, coming off the TNT titles loss. So good shit.
Yeah, I think this is probably his biggest pay-per-view match, even bigger than some of his TNT title matches in the past. So, yeah, I agree. Jay News, what have you thought about the build to this matchup and who wins on Sunday?
I think the build to this matchup has been pretty steady over the weeks of finally getting Nigel involved in all this and whatnot. I appreciate that. I was one to not watch Nigel McGuinness's prime of his career. The majority of the prime of Nigel McGuinness's career was told to me secondhand by the man up above me. So I didn't get to watch much of Nigel in ROH, and of the stuff that I have watched from the past, and obviously being present for the matches that he's been able to partake in AEW. I see where the love for Nigel is at. I am seeing this match as an FTR win, but I feel like we'll get a furtherance in the character of Daniel Garcia in this match. Not necessarily thinking that he's going to join FTR, but something's going to come about from this match for Daniel Garcia is more or less where I'm landing on. And I'm interested to see where they take it. And if they don't take the opportunity to do that in this match, then I don't necessarily know what AEW wants to do with DG. That's, at this point, the overall consensus is that they failed them with the TNT title run. Like Joel said, he's been very up and down over the last year and stuff. He did re-sign with AEW, so they've got, to make him a part of TV in an important way, without him having to have a strap is necessary, being that he's such a young wrestler and a part of their their stable of young wrestlers who are going to be the future of the company and stuff like that. So hopefully they do something with him character-wise, something develops with him character-wise in this match is really more or less my hope. And we get to see some nostalgia-filled wrestling holds from Nigel and stuff like that. But FTR being the stronger tag team here should get the win overall.
Because of the story that they've told, I wouldn't mind if it was Cope and Garcia versus FTR at All in Texas, because it feels like too soon to go to Cope versus Cope and Christian reuniting, because there's still the story to tell with the patriarchy and Nick Wayne's away in Japan. I would love them to take more time now that they've announced that All Out is in Toronto, and that's where they do the reunion. I would like that if you continue with Cope and FTR. FTR just keeps finding ways to beat Cope and Garcia until it goes to like All Out. You could do like a TLC, whatever matchup, and we finally see the reunion there. I wouldn't mind them kind of stretching this out a little bit longer and giving Garcia a longer story that he can sink his teeth into, because I agree 100% with you guys. This feels like the first great story that Danny Garcia has actually been a part of, probably since he was in the middle of the Blackpool Combat Club and Jericho Appreciation Society, and they ruined that. So like
and I think there's definitely a chance, like Janie's mentioned it as, you know, you said probably not this Sunday, but I think there's a chance that he eventually does go with FTR. And I think if you were to do him and Copeland versus FTR, that would be the perfect opportunity, right? Because then he would kind of see with his own eyes what FTR were talking about, of like these old guys needing the spotlight. Stokely Halfway managing Daniel Garcia, I think, would be very, very interesting, and they could do some good stuff for that. So I think there's a lot of ways to go, and I actually have a lot of faith in this, because I think it's being handled by the people involved in it based on the way it looks and feels completely different to everything else on the show. So I think they've got a good idea and know what they want to do with this. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, and I love FTR as heels. They've been probably my main reason to keep up with Collision as of late. They are the stars of Collision, and they have been since the Collision kind of was created, and they just continue to be right now. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm going with FTR for the victory. Quickly though, Cope returns, yes or no this Sunday? Joe?
I'm saying no.
I'm gonna go with Joe. I'm saying no.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say they pin Nigel and then pin Nigel with the Shatter Machine, and then post match they try to spike power drive him to end his career, and Cope returns.
I'll say this: Nigel's call in response to that the Saturday after will be hilarious, because he always is like giving Cope shit. Can you imagine Nigel? I was fine. I didn't need him. What was he doing out there?
I love it. We got Power Driver Finisher who says yes for Cope, and we got Craig Carter II who says I hope not. I love how very 50-50 the AEW fan base is on Cope.
Yeah, I get it. I definitely get it.
I do too. We also got Chilla with Chase who says I got Cope returning, and Christopher says yes, and Power Driver Finisher says because where was Christian this week? Christian, it feels like Christian was in Japan. That was a fan. It feels like Christian's got the couple of weeks off while Nick is in Japan tearing it up. And
I feel like Christian's had the last couple of months off, to be quite honest. But, hey man, you stick to what you stick to. You get booked to where you get booked. You can't help it. You're not the booker. You know what I'm saying? So might as well just stay at home.
There's more story to tell there with the patriarchy. So I hope they don't rush it when Nick gets back to get to Cope and Christian at All In. But a matchup that I'm sure J News will say this didn't have much of a build, because it didn't. For the AEW Continental Championship, we'll see Kazuchika Okada defending against Speedball Mike Bailey. These two men have mixed it up over the last couple of weeks, dating back to Kazuchika Okada in a Continental title eliminator matchup against Kevin the Jet Knight, where he picked up the victory and post-match delivered Rainmaker after Rainmaker. It was Speedball Mike Bailey, who has been the tag team partner of Kevin Knight, who came out to make the save for him. Since then, he's actually called out Okada on Collision Breach Break a couple of weeks back, and Okada came out, looked like he was going to confront Speedball, but Roosh and Dralistico attacked him from behind. Renee Paquette asked Okada about being called out by Speedball, and he says Speedball doesn't call him out. He does the calling out and made this challenge for Double or Nothing last night on Collision after Speedball and Commander picked up a victory over LFI. It was Okada who once again came out and confronted Speedball, but this time after a middle finger from Okada, it was Speedball with a kick to the middle finger and then a kick to Okada and then a huge tope con hilo who took him out, took him down, and then stood tall with the AEW Continental Championship in hand. 20-minute time limit on this one. I think that, you know, it's always the question of what Okada we're going to get, but I feel like this could be, despite the low expectations and the lack of build, this could be really good. J News, who do you got here, and what have you thought about the story they tell? I won't say build because it hasn't been much of a build.
So this particular match has had more build than Ricochet versus Mark Briscoe. So I can appreciate.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
That's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
No, it has not. No, it has not.
They've had more TV time together in the last 3 weeks than Ricochet.
No, that is actually false because Ricochet and Briscoe have at least been in matches that have been like 20 minutes long. I don't think that Speedball and Okada have interacted for 20 minutes on TV.
No, they haven't, but at least we understand that the challenge has been set and they've been going tit for tat on the microphone, trying to give Mike Bailey more time on the mic, trying to get his skills up and all that jazz. And, you know, Okada still being Okada at the end of the day. But I'm excited for this match just because of the elements in the match at the end of the day. It is Okada. It is Mike Bailey. What version of Okada are we going to get? I think we're going to get a top-level version of Okada because Mike Bailey doesn't let people go to sleep during his matches. So if you want to half-ass it in there against Mike Bailey, good luck. Is all I'm saying to you. Mike Bailey's been tremendous since he's joined AEW. So I don't think that this match is going to let anyone down. To your point, too, SP3, there hasn't been there's low expectations for this match at the end of the day because of the quote unquote lack of build. So I think this match is going to over deliver as well. I feel like they teased it. I don't know if they'll go there, but they teased it definitely. Roosh seems to have his eye on that Continental Championship himself as well. So I hope that they pivot to that after this for Okada and Roosh's sakes, to be quite honest. And Mike Bailey can definitely go on to do something. I think they have more coals in the fire for Mike Bailey to be teamed with Kevin Knight in the tag division than anything else, to be quite honest. They're just doing this because Kevin's out doing the Best of Super Juniors right now. So not a bad bout. Okada should win here, and then but should be a good match though.
Yeah, I love Tony Khan say it on the call yesterday. He said, if I would have known that I would have been using Kevin Knight, because Kevin Knight got like 3 or 4 feuds that they set up for him before he left. He was like, if I knew he was going to be such a big part, I wouldn't have said yes to him going to Japan. That was awesome. That popped me so much. Joe, what have you thought about the build to this matchup? Who wins on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot here, right? But it should be a very good wrestling match. I think Okada is actually, I think it's become such a thing now, the effort part of his, I think he's actually, it's like an overcorrection now. I think he's actually been pretty good in these last few matches. He just doesn't, I don't see him a lot, but I liked his performance in Kevin Knight a lot. I was really good in that match. And obviously, that wasn't like a classic match, but it wasn't trying to be, right? I thought it was a really well-wrestled match. So I think this will be similar. I think this will be a good time. Okada certainly is winning. I think it will be good for the excitement of the inevitable Omega Okada match if Okada did have like a, knockdown, drag out classic. Yeah, that would be good for that match. But if we're being honest, this match can be completely forgettable and people are still going to be excited for Omega Okada, right? Like it's just, there's a magic that there's an allure to that. But I think it will be good. Bailey definitely has had a lot of energy, a lot of spark, since coming in. And I think he's helped the TV out a lot. I think his effort will be there as always on pay-per-view. So, and this will be a good match, and Okada winning, of course.
Yeah, I'm with Joe on the part of, I think the effort thing is just part of the gimmick at this point. So that's big. And the part I mentioned before, I just wanted to leave it here because we're discussing Okada. Do you think it would be? I think it'd be a big deal if Roosh goes against Okada at the Arena Mexico show. If I'm being quite honest, if they put him on about right? If he's allowed on there, if Roosh is allowed on there, that is. I think that'll be a big deal. So, because they hinted at it, so I think that might be something that folks might want to pay attention to.
I mean, I'd like to see that match anywhere, let
Yeah, of
alone
course.
in
Yeah, of course.
just because,
Yeah.
like, imagining the aggression of Roosh with Okada's current mode, like, that's an interesting dynamic. I'm with you completely. I'd love to see that.
It will remind Okada about some of his matches with like Ishii and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then when Roosh starts smacking him up and chopping the hell out of his chest, he's gonna be reminded. But yeah, I think this could be really good to great on this show. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I got Okada picking up the victory here. This is the matchup though that I have no interest in. I'm sorry, because of the challengers once again. For the AEW World Tag Team Championships, the Hurt Syndicates, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, with MVP in their corner, will defend against the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, the Sons of Texas, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes. Dustin and Sammy stepped up to challenge the champions 2 weeks ago on AEW Dynamite. Then they defeated the Crew, Leo Rush and Action Andretti on Collision Beach Break. Yes, I know some of you did not see that because Black Adam had to come on and they had a dysfunction and only 90 minutes of Collision actually aired, but it did happen. The Sons of Texas did pick up the victory there to become number one contenders. Of course, the Hurt Syndicate have been more preoccupied with the ongoing drama surrounding MJF and his placement in the group or not. They made that official on Dynamite this week with MJF signing the contract along with the rest of the Hurt Syndicate to make him officially part of the group. But it was the Sons of Texas who interrupted with Dustin Rhodes cutting a promo saying that he is warning MVP about MJF, that he's a snake in the grass, and that him and Sammy are day one guys, and they have looked in the eyes of the devil, and a whole bunch of stuff that he told MJF back in February. And yeah, now they're going to try to get another championship because Dustin doesn't have enough, as he's the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion, Ring of Honor World Trios Champions. Yes, guys, I watch Ring of Honor, so I am clearly annoyed by the Sons of Texas and how much push Dustin Rhodes is getting at 56 years old. So Dustin Rhodes defender, Joe Hulbert, what do you think about this matchup? What do you think about the build, and who do you think wins Sunday?
Look, there's certain things, there's hills I must not die on. The promos building up to this match have been very unfortunate. I'm not going to suggest otherwise. I don't really know what Dustin was talking about on Wednesday. I think he got lost, which, it happens. He did have the line, and someone in our chat referenced it earlier, but he had the line about the original Double or Nothing was unforgettable. You will never forget it, which was an unbelievable, unintentional bit he did there. But
he said, we got heart, we got soul, we got heart.
Yeah. He had another line where he was like,
he did it 3 times during he did it with what Joe just mentioned about the unforgettable. You never forget the heart, the 2 heart parts, and then at the dead end of the freaking of the promo, he said the same thing twice again, and I was like, what happened, man? What happened?
He also had that bit where he goes, our work ethic, you can't do it. You can't match it. I love him, man. Look, I don't know if this is one of those things where, I have to take myself out of I definitely get why people are not excited for this, and I get, the pushback. I just love watching Dustin wrestle, and he's one of those guys, I'll always watch him wrestle. And this matchup does pop me because I think he's going to bleed an absurd amount to a very quiet Arizona crowd. And I can't, I'm not going to lie. I want to see this, but I get it. I get it completely. And, it is what it is. I think this will pop me and very few others, but I think Dustin's a legend. So I'm always going to fight his corner on these things,
I think at this point, Dustin is a better in-ring worker than on the mic, which I didn't say that a couple of years back. A couple of years back, he was clearly better on the mic than he is in the ring, but he gives enough effort where he is entertaining in the ring. But I also do remember matches like the Swerve Strickland match at all AEW World's End 2023, where he no-sold a cinder block to the ankle. Yeah.
That was crazy. That was a tough situation, though. That show was That show felt like the apocalypse had struck, dude. It was a scary, scary show.
It was. It was. We got 2 FKs as Hulbert's gimmick for repping Dustin Rhodes. It's tiring. Just let it go, man.
It's not. I mean, it's not a gimmick. Dustin Rhodes is a legend, dude. I don't know what you want me to do. You know, I'm just in my. Dustin Rhodes. He had great tag matches as far back as like 1990. You know, he's a legend. I fuck with Dustin Rhodes.
He did. And Ravishing One is on the other end of the spectrum. He says, completely disagree with you. Dustin deserves it. I know there's a lot of Dustin Rhodes shooters. There's a lot more than I thought they would be in 2025. So I will commend him for that. J News, what about you? What did you think about the build to this matchup? And who do you have winning the AEW World Tag Team titles?
Add me to the hill of shooters, brother. I've been shooting in the gym with Dustin Rhodes since day one, brother. He posted during the week on Twitter when everybody was posting their original like headshots from when they started wrestling and stuff like that. And I was like, I remember that promo picture. I was 5 years old when that shit was making Nah, man, look, I get it. Like the promo on Collision was it wasn't great at the end of the day, right? But I rather watch Dustin in the ring now, even at 56 years old, than have him on the mic or whatever the case is. So there's that part of it as well. It is, I don't know how well noted it is amongst the likes of our True Heel Heat fandom and the fans. I am a Sammy Guevara hater. I want nothing good to happen to that young man in wrestling terms.
Why was he wearing a suit? Why is he wearing a suit?
Because Cody told him to. That's why he's wearing a freaking suit. He's such a freaking mark. Anyways, I want nothing positive for that kid at the end of the day. Damn it. So, and I'm just saying, I'm just talking about wrestling wise, not life wise. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely expect the Hurt Syndicate to win here. Like you guys said earlier, I don't expect MJF to interfere in this match either. There's no need. The storyline that they're building with MJF doesn't have a need for that in this match per se. I'm not sure what we're building towards with MJF per se at this point, but that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't necessarily need that particular storyline to be predictable as hell, but the ending, the outcome of this match is predictable as hell. The Hurt Syndicate does win here. They will demolish the gentlemen, the Sons of Texas here, and they'll retain their championships, and then we'll go on from there to see as to what they do with the tag division. Because the tag division has a lot of good tag teams, but the way they're being used is just not great right now. So let's see if they can turn that around.
They have to give Hurt Syndicate a good tag team to work with on pay-per-view. They have yet to do that. We've had 3 duds in a row. The Outrunners at Revolution, the Learning Tree. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They wanted the Murder Machines, which they actually did build up to that, but Brian Cage got injured. Okay, so you gave us the Learning Tree so they could lose. But then you gave us the Sons of Texas, who, yes, they are undefeated in tag team action. Why? I don't know why. I've been asking this question for months. I feel like they have dragged down they are responsible for me no longer having a job on the Fightful main channel, because that was when I basically said, I'm over this Ring of Honor stuff. Dustin Rhodes has 2 titles. Dustin Rhodes is the belt collector of Ring of Honor. We have hit a new low. I am over this.
That's the way it should be, brother. Pure rules. Code of Honor adhered to. DVD product, man. Just give it time.
I would not be surprised if he's the challenger for Bandito and Texas and some Super Card of Honor. That's where we're at. We're at that.
You have to book me for the preview show on that one so I can come back and continue.
I got you for that one. But yeah, I got the Hurt Syndicate picking up the victory here. We got 2 FK who says, can the Hurt Syndicate even go beyond 8 minutes these days? I mean, they haven't been given any tag teams to do that with. Maybe if they face FTR or the Young Bucks or the Paragon, maybe they'll go over 8 minutes. But they don't need to go over 8 minutes with Gates of Agony and Outrunners and the Learning Tree and Sons of Texas. No.
Right.
They should destroy all these.
Sean did the whole C2, right? It's like they're still capable. It's just what you said is matchmaking.
Yeah, and I think for and not to crap on their parade because I'm a fan of the Hurt Syndicate, but they've kept the Hurt Syndicate away from the stronger tag teams in the division. Let's be real here. So can to FK's point, can they hang? Really? Can they hang in a match versus Roddy and Kyle? Can they hang in a match versus FTR? Can they hang with the Bucks as a tag team? That's at this point it's like I don't know, because they're very used to a certain style of professional wrestling at the end of the day. So I'm not going to take anything away from Shelton Benjamin. You know what I'm saying? BMF Lashley was 12 years ago at this point. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I just don't know. But they've definitely been keeping the Hurt Syndicate away from the better tag teams in the division. So I would like to see what they can do with the better tag teams in the division is really more or less my purview for the future.
Agreed. They got to do something with the tag team division. I don't think I've been this least interested in the tag team division in AEW's 6-year history. Ravishing One says it would be fun. The Hurt Syndicate completely demolished Sons of Texas, and MJF came out to help them. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it was like that. But if he's actually helping them get to win, I'm good. I don't want to see that. I want to see the Hurt Syndicate destroy people. That's what I'm here for. And we also got Chilling with Chase. It says Hurt Syndicate acting like heavyweight John Jones, just choosing the easy opponents. Damn shame.
Don't go there, Chase, because John Jones ain't got nobody to face in that heavyweight division. That shit is crap over in the MMA, and you know it. God damn it.
Also fair. Next, we got a matchup that I am interested in because I know it's going to be good because I've seen them do it before. We're going to have for the AEW Women's World Championship, Timeless Toni Storm defends against Mina Shirakawa. Of course, Timeless Toni Storm is coming off the heels of her last defense, which was at AEW Dynasty against Megan Bayne, beating her with the big package. Since then, she's been in title eliminator mode, beating the likes of Queen Aminata and Lady Frost. Then she decided she wanted more than one challenger in these title eliminators. She had a win in a 4-way over Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Anna Jay, and then decided she wanted one more for the town at Beach Break Dynamite, and she faced the returning Sky Blue, the NJPW Strong Women's Champion Azumi, and her former friend or former threesome running mate, Mina Shirakawa, who made her return to AEW 2 weeks ago as an official member of the roster. And Mina was the one who finally broke the streak. The 12-0 streak in title eliminators for Timeless Toni Storm was broken when Mina reversed the big package for the first time anyone has done that, defeating and pinning Timeless Toni Storm to get this matchup at AEW Double or Nothing. This past Wednesday on Dynamite, Mina picked up another victory over Julia Hart. Post-match, Julia Hart and Sky Blue jumped Mina, with Timeless Toni Storm making the save. They had a confrontation, a tug-of-war over the title, which Mina got the better of Toni by giving her a dragon screw and then locking on a figure 4 around the ring post on Timeless Toni Storm, leaving her laying before this Sunday's big title matchup. Think this one is obvious who's going to win, but like I said, this is more for when the bell rings. I know they're going to deliver, and Timeless Toni Storm, in my opinion, has been on a heater this year. She had the best women's match in North America. It's either 1A or one by itself with the 3-way from WrestleMania with the Hollywood Hending with her and Mariah May at AEW Revolution. She had a great matchup with Megan Bayne at Dynasty, and she's had a great matchup with Mina last year at Forbidden Door. So I expect this one to be just as great because I feel like Mina is going to be motivated. But at the end of the day, Timeless Toni Storm retains. Jay News, what have you thought about the build to this matchup? Who wins on Sunday?
The build to this matchup has been this is another one of the builds that's been kind of on the short end in the sense of like this hasn't been building for a long period of time, should I say. But with all that being said, Toni Storm can do no wrong in my eyes. That promo she cut on Collision was just you know, the pièce de résistance. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was excellent. You know? Oh my god, I live to read the comment section on Twitter, like when people reply to stuff or whatever the case is, just to see what the bad faith is and stuff like that, or like when people are like they don't watch enough because they're clueless. There was this one comment I read last night for the Collision promo that said vulgar comments are not cool. That doesn't make you cool. And I was like, you don't watch, because at the end of the day, this is a gimmick. You know what I'm saying?
She is. She said she was gonna make a cactus cream. A cactus cream.
Exactly. I was like, tell me you don't watch without telling me you don't watch. It's like that's just dumb at the end of the day for me. But anyways, me and Shirakawa, Tony Storm, they should be able to give us a banger inside the ring. A lot of people are thinking that this match is going to garner a specific return. I think that this match is going to garner a debut, not a return. So that is my vantage point at this point in time. That red spider people have been seen crawling across their screens during women's matches will be making a debut at Double or Nothing, in my estimation. So I think that's what's going to come out of all this, being that her slogan's always been not always,
the Joshi
but
Killer.
The Joshi Killer. She likes to kill the icons and stuff like that and all that jazz. So I think that that's going to be a strong way to debut the Toxic Spider on AEW TV if they do that. So yeah, that's where I'm heading.
So you think Tekla debuts and attacks Mina?
I think she attacks both of them, to be quite honest. So because she's on a heater by her, she's in a run by herself at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So I think that she when Tony wins, she'll attack Tony, but then she'll also attack Mina, because that'll continue their stardom stuff at the end of the day. So it gives that for Tekla to do before she gets to Tony and stuff like that. I don't think Mariah comes back, to be honest. I think a lot of people are looking to that. I just don't think it happens.
Yeah, I really feel like there's a reason why they haven't been mentioning her at all.
Yeah.
Even though that would help with the story they're trying to tell with Tony and Mina. If you bring up your past, like, I don't understand why y'all want to act like she never existed. I was like, we really not even going to mention like the Hollywood ending or anything like that because she's leaving? Like, it's weird. It's weird to me.
Yeah. Pretty stupid,
Joe,
to be honest.
Exactly. Like, this is your history. Like, you can still say it despite them deciding to leave. Like, it just makes no sense. But Joe, what do you think about the build? Who wins on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm with you in the sense that it's the match, right? Is the thing. I think this is clearly kind of a thing for Tony to do while waiting for the Owen winner to emerge, and that's fine. You have to do stuff like that sometimes if you're going to do it. I think Mina is a great candidate for that, and Mina has been really good in AEW, man. Like, as a guest before, and obviously she just came in this past couple of weeks. Obviously, her whole presentation fits, and she's got over with the US crowds. But also, I think her work has really been suited to like those TV matches. I think she's actually been a really good fit. I expect this to be really good. It's going to struggle a little bit in the sense that I don't think anyone believes Tony's losing the belt here, which is always challenging, right? You haven't got much doubt among the people, but I think the work will be good. I think Mina will do a similar thing to what she did with Julia and kind of lean heel just to let the people cheer Tony. And they'll have a really good match. I'm looking forward to it. Tony Storm, of course, will leave still champion, though.
Absolutely agree there. A lot of people love the Tony Storm promo on Collision. She wants to drag her tits in the sand, and she said, when we're in the nursing home all wrinkled, and I'll look over at you and say, you lusty busty bastard, we lived. She's so good. She's the best character in wrestling. Like, there's bar none. She's amazing, man. She really is. She gets better and better. It's incredible. Yeah. And Patrick Bell saying, Tony, stay winning the Emmy Award, Storm. Fire emoji. Indeed. But now we got to talk about the Anarchy. Anarchy in the Arena makes its return to AEW Double or Nothing this Sunday, as we're going to have the Death Riders, represented by the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Marina Shafir, teaming up with Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, to verse the Team AEW team of AEW International Champion Kenny Omega, Willow Nightingale, Swerve Strickland, and the AEW World Trios Champions, the Opps, Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs. All of this stems from AEW Dynasty, where the Young Bucks returned, and to gain favor with Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page, if you forget that already, that part of the story, they cost Swerve Strickland the AEW World title against Moxley, helping Moxley pick up the victory in the main event. Since then, the Bucks basically explained that they wanted to do a favor for their good friend Hangman Adam Page, but they also wanted to work closely with the Death Riders. The whole reason why they left AEW in the first place was the Death Riders running roughshod, but now they came back and they wanted to work alongside Jon Moxley and company. But they were confronted by Kenny Omega, who remembered that his dear friends Matthew and Nicholas betrayed him last year around this time, and he wanted a bit of revenge. So him and Swerve made a unlikely alliance with each other, fighting off the Young Bucks as well as the Death Riders. Along the way, the Death Riders grew the ire of the Opps, who were the men who dethroned them for the AEW World Trios Championships back at Spring Breakthrough, with a little bit of help from Swerve Strickland and Willow Nightingale. Willow has been feuding with the Death Riders for months. She was the victim of a paradigm shift ahead of Dynasty at the hands of Jon Moxley, and she's been going back at it with Marina Shafir along the way, and that all led up to AEW Dynamite Beach Break after a quick conversation in the Young Bucks locker room the week prior. It was the Young Bucks who would get involved in a big brawl post-match after Gabe Kidd became the new hired mercenary for the Death Riders, helping Jon Moxley pick up a victory over Samoa Joe to retain the AEW World Championship in a steel cage. The Young Bucks came down, they put down the cage so they could assault Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe inside the steel cage until Swerve Strickland came down and made the save with a big swerve stomp onto the heels, and he made the challenge for Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing. This past Wednesday on Dynamite, Swerve and the Opps picked up the victory over Mox and the Young Bucks in a six-man trios all-star matchup. Post-match, the Death Riders jumped the babyfaces until Katsuyori Shibata, who was taken out of action for a number of weeks by Claudio Castagnoli, made his return. Marina Shafir low-blowed him. Willow Nightingale came out and fought Marina. Kenny Omega came out and joined the fight as well, and that all led to a big show-closing brawl where once again Gabe Kidd was the mercenary and the deciding factor who helped the heels get the advantage, with the Bucks laying out Swerve and Omega, putting them through a pair of tables to stand tall to close the show. It was absolute anarchy the last 2 weeks on Dynamite. It's just a preview, a sample of what we're going to get on Sunday. Joe, what have you thought about the build to this matchup? The longest build of anything on this show, obviously, since it stems from everything that's gone on the last couple of months concerning the Death Riders, the Young Bucks, this Team AEW conglomeration of baby faces. What have you thought about the build, and who wins Anarchy in the Arena?
It's an interesting question as to result. Very interesting. I was kind of thinking about as you were running through the build there. I changed my mind a couple of times. Either way, and I'll get back to that, I think Samoa Joe has been incredibly valuable for this Death Riders angle. Like, I think he's given it a spark that honestly just wasn't there before. And I think there's something that's happened with him in the AEW audience. And like Joe, I tweeted about this earlier this week. Joe's a legend. Obviously, that's not new. But there's something to the way the AEW audience sees him right now. I think he's like, someone said he's taken the Sting role, and I get it, but it's almost a new thing entirely, I think, because he has that credibility as a former champ in AEW, right? He's not just like a nostalgia act. He's a guy who's been on top in this AEW. And I think as a result, he's been able to give this a real kind of fighting chance. And with that, we've had a chance to kind of, reassess what Moxley's doing, who's done some really great promos, Moxley has. So I think there's a lot to like here. I kind of, after last year, was ready to be done with Anarchy just because I feel like there's some point you do it so many times. Like, this is the 5th one, right, this year? So
Yeah.
I think maybe.
2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. Yeah. Fourth. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was kind of ready to be done with it, but this has a few things going for it. Number one, as we mentioned earlier, it's not the main event, which I actually hope is going to allow them to be a bit tighter with it rather than doing like a motion picture. It also has Samoa Joe going for it, as mentioned, and perhaps most importantly, the Willow Nightingale factor is huge for my personal interest. That adds a whole novelty and charm, and like it makes it feel different, right? And so Marina and Willow being in there, so there's a lot to like about this, and I actually am excited for it, more than I expected to be. As for the finish, like I think you should go. I think Moxley's going to retain the belt in Texas, so I think you put the baby faces over here because I think you got to be careful going heel heavy, But I could see it either way, and you got the Gabe Kidd threat looming. Maybe a Mad King can help us with that. I don't know. There's a lot going on here, man. It's very, very interesting. But I'm going to take the baby faces in a match that I'm more excited for than I expected to be. I'm actually really amped for it. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I know there's people that is upset. I know like Thal Pello and myself. I said when they announced the Anarchy in Arena 2 weeks ago and it looked like Willow was going to be a part of it, I was like, oh, Willow's making history. She's going to be an Anarchy in the Arena first woman to headline a pay-per-view because I just assumed Anarchy in the Arena would be the main event. I don't mind it not being the main event because it did feel like the most backdoor way to have women main event a pay-per-view with like 13, 14, 12 or 13 other people. Like that's a really backdoor way to do it. I want the women to get the main event on their own merit and be it woman versus woman or multi-woman in the matchup. Don't have it be just, oh, we just throw in the women into this multi-man matchup. No, that feels like a very backdoor way to do it. And also, like you said, it helps out the ability to do things like structured wise that they would have had to go kind of out there and more outrageous like they've done the last 2 years if it was closing the show once again. I think being in the middle of the show or towards the end of the show, second to last, if they want to do that, I think it's better suited for this Anarchy in the Arena matchup. But Willow and the fact that Gabe Kidd is not in the matchup, but Gabe Kidd is going to be involved in this matchup. And there are so many possibilities of who the baby faces are going to come to make the save for them or to neutralize Kidd. It could be a returning Hook, which is probably the least interesting option there. Then it could be a returning Darby Allin, which will get a huge pop, and that would be fun. And that would be crazy that he just climbed Mount Everest and made it down in the 7 days that's allotted to come here for this show. I could see it being like you said, maybe even a Bryan Danielson. This whole story started with Bryan, so that would be something that gets a huge pop. But I like the chat is saying, like you said, the best option that I want to see is Eddie Kingston. Because Eddie Kingston made the first Anarchy in the Arena the best Anarchy in the Arena. And to see Eddie come out, get revenge on the guy that took him out at Resurgence last year in Gabe Kidd, fight against Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley, his two main rivals in his whole career, and especially during his time in AEW. That's the guy we need here, and no one is more team AEW to me than Eddie Kingston. So that's who I want to see, and the fact that we can possibly get that in this matchup, yeah, it makes me very much more excited for Anarchy in the Arena than I have been, especially last year. So I agree with you, though, as well. I think the baby faces pick up the win, and I'm going with, I said it on In the Weeds earlier this week, I'm going with Willow Nightingale pinning Wheeler Yuta.
Hell yeah, I'm with it.
J News?
Well, I mean, this has been a, how can I say, it's been a clusterfuck to watch this all come together, right? And for all intents and purposes, it's just because there's a lot of moving parts in all this is really why I felt like it's been a clusterfuck. But with all that being said, I'm going to be a little bit different, not to be contrarian, but because I'll give my reasoning here. I feel like the Death Riders win this match. just based on the fact that the faces won the 6-man tag. So I feel like the overlying scope of the Death Riders still having that control over AEW, right, will be the overlying message that they want to send by the end of this match. I think there will be a spot in the match where Willow Nightingale goes crazy, and she gives the babe with the bomb to Wheeler Yuta, Marina Shafir, and a third person, maybe Mox. At the end of the day, who knows? But she goes crazy and she powerbombs the crap out of everybody. And there's that part. But there's also another interesting dynamic that just got added to all of this. Chris Statlander made a very ominous and threatening. She cut a very ominous and threatening promo towards Willow, which I did not appreciate by all intents and purposes. I thought we were done with Stat being a freaking heel. But it seems that we might get a Chris Statlander appearance during this Anarchy in the arena match. And I'm wondering, did she poke the bear? Did she not forgive Stat enough? Has she? No, I mean, not enough. Why hasn't Willow forgiven Stat as of yet? You know what I'm saying? Why do this? We've seen the violence that Willow and Stat have created on AEW television. I just don't want Marina Shafir to be an afterthought in all of this, because I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for them to spotlight her style of doing stuff or whatever, because it's not your basic wrestling stuff or whatever. She can throw people around. She can get real physical with it with folks if she needed to. So with all that being said, I think that the heels went out here. Would I like to see the Mad King come out and do a bit to neutralize Gabe Kidd? Sure, of course I would. Of course, I'd love to see it. I just don't know if he's healthy enough to do it right now. To be quite honest.
I don't know. That's why I put out other options. There's Ryan Danielson. I know is healthy enough, and if Darby makes it down, it takes 3 to 7 days to get down Mount Everest. So
it's just
Darby. There's a probability.
Gabe Kidd part, man. Like,
mind you,
I don't know. Yeah, go for it, man.
No. I was gonna say it does take some time for Darby to get used to not elevation, but like, just basic flat land. So I don't think he's gonna be, I know how crazy he is, but
right.
from a health perspective, it's like it's not necessarily recommended to you go to a freaking, double or nothing to make the save over there and whatnot. The Bryan Danielson thing, just from a professional perspective, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he's gonna be at the show, because he does live in Arizona. He will be backstage. So, and he still does work for AEW in another capacity, though. So that would be cool to see. But I expect all the Anarchy. I expect crazy-ass spots. I expect a cinder block or two to be in this match somewhere due to Swerve and stuff like that. I don't know what to expect from Shibata, but I think it'll be fun. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not Shibata's playpen, but give him something and he'll work with it at the end of the day. So
I think Powerhouse Hobbs is gonna be at home in this type of match.
He's been awesome lately, dude. How great was he in that 6-man on Wednesday? It's
Well,
crazy.
he was awesome.
Get some momentum, right? It's awesome.
I was like, Joe was the MVP of that 6-man on Wednesday, but Powerhouse Hobbs was awesome. Like, I did agree with Jimmy. Jimmy was like, Swerve was probably the worst person on the team, and not to say that Swerve was bad, but Powerhouse Hobbs and Joe, they delivered on Wednesday.
Oh, and to play up what you were saying about Joe earlier, Joe. Dude, he's definitely lent a different level of credibility to this whole Death Riders thing that no one else has been able to do in all the months that we've been complaining about the Death Riders. You know what I'm saying? So him being able to do that, him being able to get the fans to take this particular storyline more seriously, and be more emotionally invested in it, has been a strength of adding Samoa Joe to all this. And he is a legend, man, and he's still able to go at his age and put on stuff that looks real and makes people feel a certain way. So, all props to Samoa Joe for turning this stuff around and making it viable for AEW.
Yeah, man. You used the word credibility. The comparison I used earlier was like when in the early 2000s, Taker's his presentation on screen was like he was the standard you had to meet, right? Like if a young guy came in, it was like just take it. And I'm always hesitant to do the comparison because I'm a big fan of one of these guys and less so the other. But the point is, like, I think there's a parallel there, right? If it was like when guys, when Joe goes over to Hobbs and like, you know, brings him on board, you kind of go, that makes Hobbs look a lot cooler to me. So I like it a lot, and I'm dangerously excited for an Eddie Kingston thing. I've talked myself into this now. The Gabe Kidd thing, it has to be Eddie for it to be. Why is Gabe Kidd involved?
Yeah.
You know,
why is Gabe not announced for the matchup? Like that, there
Right.
has to be somebody that comes in that makes a return or something for the baby faces to diffuse Gabe, because they made sure the closing angle was the heels were on the brink of losing, but then Gabe Kidd came in and basically was the difference maker, gave them the numbers
that would be
advantage.
full circle because Anarchy last year, Gabe and Eddie. Yeah, man, we're doing it. It's happening.
You're doing it. We're doing. He needs to come out with a gasoline tank like he did in the first one.
Oh my god, that would be incredible, dude. Yes,
I will be going nuts. I will be giving the loudest silent scream ever to not wake up my kids. I will be doing that on Sunday if Eddie Kingston comes on out here.
He's a Terry Funk fan. He's gonna come out with a Double Cross Ranch pitch iron and whatever the case is. He's gonna brand somebody. So that's what's gonna go down.
That fellow says, from a physical standpoint, it's also believable that Joe could simply whoop all their asses. Yeah, I believe everything that they say. Like, there's a few people in AEW that I just believe everything they say. It's freaking Joe, it's Eddie, it's Will, and it's Hangman. Those four are like guys that I believe every word they say. I buy into it, and I feel like this is not too far away from who you really are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And a bunch of love for Joe in the chat. I don't think it's gonna be Orange Cassidy because I feel like he just got a bicep tear. Like that takes a couple of months to recover from. So it's not gonna be him. But let's talk about the main two matches. The Owen Hart Foundation tournament will conclude first with the women for the Owen Hart Cup Women's Tournament Final. It will be TBS champion Mercedes Mone going one-on-one for the first time ever with Jamie Hayter. Mercedes got here with victories over Julia Hart at Dynasty, and then one of the best women's matches of the year against Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena at Spring Breakthrough. Meanwhile, Jamie Hayter got here with victories over Billy Starks and Chris Statlander on an episode of Dynamite a month ago or so. During this build up to this matchup, it's really been about the story of Mercedes Mone trying to solidify her legacy by winning the Owen Hart Cup and seeing right through whoever was going to be in this final matchup with her, because she knows that she needs to be in the AEW Women's World Title matchup at All In Texas, and really undermining Jamie Hayter, who is a former AEW Women's World Champion, the one title that Mercedes hasn't been able to capture during her whole time here in AEW and hasn't even got a shot at yet. Jamie Hayter is trying to finally get back to the mountaintop after her back injury took her out of action 2 years ago at Double or Nothing, when she lost the AEW Women's World Championship to the current champion Toni Storm. And she said she made her return at All In London last year. She's had to deal with different things that took her attention off the ball, like Saraya and Julia Hart, but this Owen Hart Foundation tournament has been her pathway to get back to the throne, back to the top of the AEW women's division. And she cut a really damn good promo on Dynamite talking about, she really was spitting facts. Like, what is the point of all of this if Jamie Hayter is not going to win? Because what is going to be next for her in her career if she loses this matchup? Meanwhile, Mercedes and Toni Storm is probably the biggest women's match possible in AEW. So this one, I said from the beginning of the tournament, this felt like the tournament that was less predictable than the men's tournament to me, because I feel like both women have a strong case to win this matchup. I know I'm going for one more than the other, but I also feel like that other is the more likely winner. So I could go either way, and my pick is probably going to change between now and Sunday. So I'll let you guys pick first. Joe, what have you thought about the build to this matchup and the Owen Hart Women's Tournament overall, and who wins the cup?
Yeah, I've liked the tournament. It's been interesting the way they did it, where they had like a lot of space between the semifinals and the finals. They had a chance to really lock in on a match. I actually, when they were doing it, I wasn't sure. I think it actually was to the benefit of the show, actually, the build. I mean,
Yeah.
I liked they had a chance to do that, and that was a good idea. So I'm really torn on this. This is one of the matches I'm most anticipating. I'm really looking forward to it. As far as the finish, that's the part that I'm struggling with, because I kind of feel like Mercedes and Tony is such a big match, but like, do you need to do that in 6 weeks or 7 weeks, whatever it is? Or can you use Mercedes and Tony for 2 big matches on that show? That's the question, right? I think, look, if it's Mercedes and Tony, we're all happy with that. But is it the time? That's the part I'm struggling with. And it does feel like Jamie Hayter needs to win. I'm rooting for Jamie because I just think it'd be more interesting. And I'd like to see Athena and Mercedes wrestle in Texas personally. But I have to be honest, I don't see Mercedes' first loss in AEW being against Jamie Hayter. A first pinfall loss. I don't know. I think Mercedes is winning, and I think that's going to divide people, and I get it. I'm still really excited for Mercedes and Tony. It just feels like there's a chance to kind of split those 2 paths to me. But that's just my feeling on it. The match is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm thrilled to see Jamie in a big spot here after, she kind of struggled when she came back, right? She had the visa thing, and like her usage wasn't great. She's back in business here, and I think it's going to be killer. I'm going to pick Mercedes, but my heart says Jamie, my head says Mercedes in this one. I'm very torn.
Jay News, what about you?
I still don't know where to go with this, man. To be quite honest, I still don't know where to go with this. And I think this is probably, this is a strong bet to get the women another important storyline on the show. Obviously, with this whole tournament thing, outside of Tony, it continues to help build the women's division in AEW. With that being said, I disagree with what Joel said about Mercedes not being beat by Jamie Hayter here. Jamie Hayter is the former AEW Women's Champion in this particular spot, so it's like it's believable. You know what I'm saying? If Mercedes loses to Jamie Hayter, especially with the line that Jamie dropped during her promo about, part of her goal is to make sure that Mercedes loses it all. So why the hell don't we start down that spiral now? You can still do the Mercedes and Tony match down the line. It's still going to be a big draw nonetheless, because Mercedes is still going to be Mercedes. Tony is still riding that high. I still want to see Athena versus Mercedes part 2. That in Texas, I think, would be a grand thing at the end of the day. But then there comes the question: what does Tony do at All In, right? So it's one of those things where they haven't necessarily built any of the other ladies in the division up enough to pair with Tony for All In. So by default, I'm gonna have to go with Mercedes here, just because there's no clear line for what else Tony can do at All In at this point, because I don't see them doing Tony versus Jamie Hayter in the sense of it being that big match, that big cachet match,
right,
for AEW right now, right? But AEW has done a tremendous job of getting Jamie Hayter back into the hearts and minds of AEW fans. This Owen Hart tournament has been a net positive for her beyond belief. These last 2 weeks with the promos cut, it's like, oh, they got another one on the roster. You know what I'm saying? So there's that part of it. Mercedes has been great with all the tournament stuff, to be quite honest. I usually don't give her flowers when they're due, but they're due at this point. From me to her, hey girl, you're doing a damn thing. Keep doing the damn thing. And putting these other women in positions to quote unquote win. That's basically what Mercedes has been trying to do from jump. She wants to face off with all these different wrestlers on the AEW women's roster and put them on a specific on a platform and whatnot. And I gotta commend her for that. at the end of the day. Use her star power to elevate. And I think that she's been really doing that with Jamie Hayter in this case. I want Hayter to win, but I think it just makes more sense for Mercedes to win, to go into All In, for them to have the bigger match between Tony and Mercedes. And so I'm going to end up there begrudgingly, to be quite honest.
Yeah, Joe said it perfectly. This is a battle of what my heart wants and what my head is telling me is going to happen. And I know J News went with his head. I'm going to have to go with my heart. I need Jamie Hayter to win this damn matchup because it's better overall, because I don't know. You said the question of you don't know what Tony does, and, is Jamie Hayter matchup that big? I think it is. I think it is that big because this is a rivalry that has produced some of the best matches in the women's division in AEW history. I always go back to their Full Gear 2022 matchup. Yeah. That was the first great women's title matchup on pay-per-view for AEW, and they have a great story that stems 2 years to when Toni Storm was a part of the Outcast and injured Jamie Hayter, caused that back injury for her, and then 2 years on they face once again in All In Texas, and it's a completely different Toni Storm. And a lot of it is they've had these parallel paths of, she lost the title. Tony's gone through this whole transformation, becoming timeless Toni Storm. She's someone that is embracing the past and is now beloved because of it, while Jamie Hayter has embraced the past in a way and dressing like she's from the 70s, and she gets questioned on it. And she's feeling like she's been forgotten while Toni Storm is timeless. Like, there's a lot of story that you could tell, and that can lead to a heel turn for Jamie Hayter, which I think she's going to be more comfortable in. She's done really well, especially with the promo on Wednesday to cut babyface promos, but I feel like she's more at home as a heel, and she has more heel directions and stories to tell if she's against timeless Toni Storm because of their history together. So that's why I'm going to go with her, and I feel like a Mercedes is going to be perfectly fine if she doesn't win this tournament. I don't know what happens to Jamie Hayter if she loses this one. So that's why I got to go with Jamie Hayter here. And I feel like Mercedes and Tony is the match to do when you want to finally freaking pop your cherry, Tony, and have the woman main event the show. And I don't see that happening at all in Texas. Yeah. So I don't want them to do the Tony Mercedes matchup.
Fair point. Yeah. Fair point. I feel to your point, and Joel, then you can go, Tony versus Mercedes should main event a pay-per-view. Bar none. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, we all agree there. And I think if you look at the division, there is very clearly a vacancy in the hillside. So, like, someone is turning. And Jamie's got, to me, is like flashing in that regard. Like, it's hard not to see her. I think even if she loses, that's what she'll do. But I'm with you. I'd rather she win and then face Tony, and that's the angle that gets her there. But we'll see. I mean, like, either way, I think we're happy to see Tony wrestle either Jamie or Mercedes, right? But I think... Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I'm very excited for the match. Very, very excited.
Very, very excited. Pello asking, I know people want the Athena match, but does Mercedes losing 2 pay-per-views in a row not ruin her credibility? Not at all. She's been undefeated for pretty much 2 years. The only matchup that she's lost, Pello, in the past 2 years was because she got injured and decided to call an audible. That's the only match she's lost in 2 years. She lost and her demise and her breakdown and her losing everything has already started. Like Safet said, she just lost the NJPW Strong Women's Championship. You should continue that story of she loses the tournament here. She'll eventually lose the Ref Pro Championship. She'll lose the TBS Championship to Athena, and then she's left with nothing. And then she has to rebuild herself. And how does she rebuild herself? She finally wins the AEW Women's World Championship. I think that's a better story to tell with Mercedes right now. And I feel like I said before, Jamie needs this victory a hell of a lot more than Mercedes does.
Yeah, I think that's hard to argue with any of that, man. Like, I definitely... I just don't know if I believe that's what they're going to do, I guess.
Me either. Me either. Right. I said all of that with so much passion. I'm just like, I don't know if any of this is going to happen. And I think I think I've sold myself too much that I'm going to be disappointed when it doesn't happen.
Listen, man, that's why I was driving myself crazy. I was like, man, I don't know, man. I just don't know. And I feel good about not knowing. It just makes the way that the whole year has pivoted towards All In, it just feels like Tony Khan, that is, wants to book the biggest matches for Texas. So I feel like, for all intents and purposes, Mercedes and Tony is the biggest match. But I also fall in line with what I just said a couple of minutes ago. It should main event a pay-per-view. It shouldn't be the semi-main at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I don't know.
But you're 100% right. He does need to put the biggest matches possible on All In Texas, because we're less than 2 months away, and he has like 20 to 25,000 seats that he has to fill, because they only have like 15,000 sold at this point, and a 40,000 seat stadium. If you want this to be a success, it's got to at least get over 25K, and he has a lot of tickets to sell in the next 6 weeks. So yeah, I mean, maybe the direction is go with your biggest women's match possible to do.
According to the ticket setup thing, though, it said that they were only set up for like about 18 or 19,000.
That's just to start off. That's just to start off. They're gonna push that to at least 25K. 25K is how you make this a success. If he gets anything below his record for most tickets sold in North America, then this show is a failure.
I agree with you. So with that being said, then it's got to be Tony, man. It's got to be Tony versus Mercedes, brother. But it not being the main event of a show takes away from it, So we'll see how it all breaks down, though.
We shall. We do have a super chat donation here from Fellow. Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate you as always, Fellow. He says, forgot to send a super chat. No worries, man. We always appreciate you for that. And he says, would anyone be okay with both Mercedes versus Tony and Athena versus Mercedes at All In? I don't see Mercedes wrestling twice at All In.
Yeah, I think that would dilute both matches. I wouldn't go in that direction. I think there's always an appeal to double champ wrestling twice. There's a novelty to that, but they're the wrong matches to do it with, I think, for me personally.
Yeah,
I feel like Athena will be part of All In, though.
Hope so. I really hope so. Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so too.
She definitely deserves it, right? Awesome.
Yeah, and I agree with what Big Man does. Yeah, 25K is plausible right now with like a month and a half left before the show, and you got like 10,000 seats to fill by 25K. Once they start announcing matches, I think those tickets will start selling a lot more, especially once you announce Okada and Omega. It's gonna be like, you'll have some tickets sold.
Yeah, I think it will look. By the time they get that, I think it will look fine. Even if they have to get creative with the way they give the tickets out, I think people will be in there and it'll be cool. Which is not uncommon. I know people think that's like, sacrilege. It's like, dude, that happens sometimes. So you just need to fill the place. It is what it is,
Yeah. And finally, we got the official main event of this Sunday show, the Owen Hart Cup Men's Tournament Final. Will Ospreay goes one-on-one with Hangman Adam Page. First time ever to get here. Will was the first man who announced himself for the Owen Hart Cup this year with the goal of getting to All In Texas and winning the title that has eluded him since signing with AEW last year, the AEW World Championship. Throughout the tournament, he's been able to pick up victories at Dynasty against Kevin the Jet Knight, and one of the best matches of the year against Konosuke Takeshita at Spring Breakthrough. Hangman Adam Page to get here picked up a win at Spring Breakthrough against the debuting Josh Alexander, and then put on a hell of a TV matchup against Kyle Fletcher to win in the semifinals to get here. And over the past month, they told a beautiful story, simply said, of ascension versus redemption. Will has the goal of getting to the top and ascending to the top of AEW, and he needs to become the AEW World Champion to wave that flag even more. He's the guy that's been signing the autographs for the fans. He's the guy who's been doing all the interviews and representing the company, and every time the bell rings, putting on the best professional wrestling in the world. Hangman Adam Page, on the other hand, has been distracted for the past 2 years, obsessed with his rival rivalry with Swerve Strickland, but he's had to put that all aside and to let all of that anger and that hatred go to focus on getting back to the top of AEW, getting the AEW World Championship for a second time, and redeeming himself to the fans, to the people in the back for everything that he's done, from trying to smash Swerve Strickland's head in at All Out and winning that matchup where he was about to come back down and assault him even more to finish his career, and then actually being responsible for the retirement of his mentor and his friend, Christopher Daniels. He needs to redeem himself for all of that, and he needs to win the Owen Hart Cup to go to All in Texas. These two men caught one of the most amazing, fantastic, and best promo segment of the year anywhere in wrestling this past Wednesday on Dynamite, where Hangman talked about how his family has looked at him differently because of his obsession with Swerve Strickland, and that he needs to prove everyone wrong. He needs to prove that he is still the guy around here in AEW, and to make sure that his wife looks at him and sees the man that she fell in love with, while Will Ospreay wants to walk into London, England, in his home country at Forbidden Door as the AEW World Champion to make his whole journey here mean something. These two guys are two of the best promos in the world today, and they knocked this out of the park. If there was any question that they didn't deserve to be the main event of this show, I think they answered all the questions on Wednesday. I knew this match would be fantastic. As soon as you saw the tournament, you knew this was the finals that you were going to get, and it was the first time ever. And on pay-per-view, this was going to be good. But the fact that it's the main event now, yeah, we might see something like all-timer-ish between these two guys, because they're so motivated to steal the show after what's going to be a 3.5 hour show. Joe, what did you think about the promo on Wednesday? What have you thought about the build, and who walks out with the Owen Hart Cup?
Yeah, they've done a great job with this. And I think the biggest thing is it's great to see the Owen Hart tournament feel this prestigious, right? I think, we discussed earlier that wasn't initially the case. And I think it's gradually built up. And now this does feel like a new peak, I think, for like the way it feels, at least.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view main event, two of the most popular guys in the promotion, getting extensive promo time to kind of paint the picture and prepare people. This is a big one. It's a huge match. I think it's like an outright dream match for a lot of the audience, to be honest with you. This is a really big deal. And as we've all mentioned, with that main event spotlight, if you look at Ospreay's track record on pay-per-view, and Hangman too, but Ospreay, since he came in, has been like flawless on pay-per-view, right? For the most part. Here he's in the main event. So match quality wise, this feels like the safest bet in wrestling. In terms of the finish, I'm very confident on this. I think Ospreay's winning here. I'm much less confident that Ospreay's winning the belt in Texas, but I think Ospreay is winning here. I think, 2FK mentioned in the chat, I think there's truth to like the idea that Hangman's still has some things to figure out. How people feel about that is up to them, right? That's not like, I get it, but it feels like they're going to do something with Swerve, I think, and possibly opposite the Bucks in Texas. We shall see, but I think this is Ospreay's match to win right here. I think the match will be incredible, and I think it could be a match that we're talking about in December, January, when we're putting our lists together of best of 2020. I think it absolutely could be. So I expect them to tear the house down. I think Will Ospreay gets the job done and wins the Owen, and then what happens in Texas will happen in Texas. That's another story for another day.
Oh God, Tony, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. We got Brandon Ellis with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, good brother. Appreciate the support. He says, do we think we get Mox versus Darby for the Portland show? No, I don't think so, because I know Jeremy on In the Weeds, he tried to make the argument that they could possibly have Darby win the title in Portland ahead of All In. I was like, guys, we need just to stop. After he beat Swerve at Dynasty, I said I'm giving up hope. Let's stop with the false hope. Moxley's going to be the champion going into All in Texas. So don't play with the possibilities in that way by giving Darby. And I think if you do Darby and Mox, if they do choose to do that in the Portland show, then Mox is still winning. It's not going to be Darby versus Ospreay or Hanger at All in Texas. It's going to be Moxley.
Yeah, I think the bigger question is whether he leaves Texas. He's definitely going into Texas as champ, 100%. Yeah.
Jay knows, what have you thought about the build to Hangman versus Ospreay, and who wins the Owen Cup for you?
As for the build, I had to sit with the promo that opened Dynamite on Wednesday, and I said to myself, was this good pro wrestling? Was the promo good pro wrestling? I went back, I watched it live, and then I went back and I watched it again, and then I watched it the third time. And I said to myself, did they make me believe, one, that they were going to be the main event? Two, did they sell me on the match? Three, did they sell me on the importance of the Owen Hart Cup? And four, did they sell me on how much either man wanted and or needed to win this tournament in order to go to All In? They did all four. So the promo worked. That's not the subjective, folks. It worked at the end of the day. We get contrived 20+ minute promos on WWE TV every week, and we never get this level of passion out of some people. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a knock against WWE versus AEW. Nah, man, make it believable. I believed it. People will complain about, but they're just shouting and da-da-da-da and this, that, and the third. And I was like, what do you want them to be? Jake the Snake Roberts? Like, this is professional wrestling. They're going to shout on the microphone. It's what they do. It's part of the gimmick, folks. It's what professional wrestling has always been about. You know what I'm saying? With all that being said, we're going to get some 5, 6, 7-star masterpiece at the end of this goddamn show. That's the expectation at this point. I don't know what else it can be. I don't know what else it should be. It's got to be that. It can't be anything else but that at the end of the day. And for two wrestlers who are so vested in the AEW fan sphere that are Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page, this is a match where they don't even have to touch first before we're emotionally invested. We're emotionally invested. What's that? Before the bell even rings, we're all on our freaking toes. We're on our ends. We're like, man, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Who's gonna get the win here? And that's what this match is all about. The Mox thing and All In, I can care less about. I don't agree with the majority of people. I don't feel like John Moxley's going to win at All In. I don't feel that way, me personally.
I have the fear of God that yes, they are right, that he is going to win. And I'm like, you are going to alienate so many people in your fan base if you do that, Tony Khan. I just want to let him know that if he's watching this, which he's probably not, but if he is, if he catches this, if you want to clip it and tag him on social media, you are going to alienate a large portion of your crowd because this would be the third major time you have done this shit. Like, stop.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, the future is going to be the future at the end of the day. I just don't feel like Mox is going to win at All In. That's just me. But this match here is for the soul of AEW in 2025. One of these two gentlemen is going to carry the banner for AEW for the rest of the year and going forward. At the end of the day, this is the emotional peak match. This is where it all garners, man. It's the two baby faces of the freaking of the company. There's no way around it at this point. And it's got to be one of these two guys to take the belt off of Moxley. It's got to be. There's no other choice. I don't want to hear anything about Darby Allin. I just don't. He's not important. He was thrown down a flight of stairs like a piece of trash. He's not important to this whole storyline. He's not relevant. It's got to be Will or it's got to be Hanger. Now, the point that was made earlier about Hanger's redemption really coming from him being able to forgive Swerve and all that stuff, I actually agree with that point. How they do that is going to be important.
Yeah.
But that can be done away from the title scene, right? At the end of the day. Or it can be done within the title scene. If Hanger ends up winning the title, come All In and whatnot. And Swerve just wants his "you owe me" moment. You know what I'm saying? So for him being the catalyst of getting Hangman to where he's at that point. You know what I'm saying? You can always do a storyline in that way with them to get back to them. But yeah, man, I expect this to be a match of the year contender. And if it's not, then either Hanger was drunk or Will's having an off day. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, I am gonna agree with y'all. I think that Will Ospreay, he is the guy to go with in AEW right now, and you can't play around with this type of stuff. Like I am gonna say he wins the Owen Hart Cup. And I hope to dear Lord Jesus, dear Lord Tony Khan, that he wins at All in Texas, because I feel like that is the right choice. That you can turn around everything perception wise with what you've been doing on television, with your stories telling throughout 2025, and then you sealed the deal at your biggest show of the year by putting the title on Will Ospreay. The perception war will be in favor of AEW. That's the only war you can win with WWE at this point, is the perception war, as far as how your fans feel about your product, how they feel about the direction of AEW, is have Will win this Sunday against Hangman Adam Pearce in what I think will be a match of the year candidate, and then having another match of the year candidate with Jon Moxley at All In, where he wins the championship and he celebrates in that stadium, and he walks into Forbidden Door in another $1 million gate for you as the world champion. He's the poster child for this whole event. You need him to have the championship going into Forbidden Door at the O2. Just check all those boxes, win that perception war, and turn around the company completely by giving the ball to your best in-ring performer out there, or one of your best at least, Will Ospreay. He's the guy to go with in AEW right now. He's Cody in 2023. He's Cody in 2024. You give the ball to the guy who's the hottest babyface in the company, and that's Will Ospreay right now. Please, Tony, don't think that you can stretch this to Seattle for Wrestle Dream, for Darby Allin. Please, dear God, pivot.
Good luck.
This is a plead at this point. This is not me saying that this is a certainty. This is a plead.
The thing about the Darby thing that gets me the most is, what's the urgency? What's the urgency with Darby? What's the urgency? You can do Darby later. You really, really can. Everyone knows he's coming off the mountain. So what's the urgency? At the end of the day, ain't no urgency. There's urgency with urgency with Will. There's urgency with Hanger. Obviously, people want to see someone take the belt off of Mox. There's no urgency with Darby right now. You can do Darby later. You can rebuild it. Start from scratch. Give Darby something else to do. Someone else to beat. At the end of the day,
Darby still hasn't beaten Claudio Castagnoli. Let him go through the rest of the Death Rider. Let him be the guy who puts the death nail in the Death Riders, but Will is the one who gets the championship. The Death Riders can still go after they don't have the world title. We haven't seen the world title. They've been doing this whole thing without the world title the whole time. We need a rescue mission for this championship, and Will and Hangman made the championship feel like the most important thing. The one thing that the Death Rider story has not been doing is putting over the world championship as the most important thing in the company, and Will and Hangers did that on Wednesday, and they can do it with this matchup on Sunday, and then you could seal the deal by having Will win the title at All in Texas.
All of those things are true. All of those things are true. I don't disagree with a single thing you're saying. I think it's all completely apt and accurate. But you
also know who we're talking about here. We're talking about Tony Khan.
But let's be fair. Tony does listen to the fans, doesn't he? Doesn't he? Yeah. He makes immediate changes.
I genuinely think this angle, like when they first put this together, Darby was winning it. I think they're going to stick to that. Like that was what they agreed, So we'll see. I mean, I think Darby's awesome. I do agree. Everything you said is like, to me, pretty obviously correct, especially with the London show coming up after it. It's like, but we shall see. I think It's going to be an interesting night in Texas in about 6 weeks. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
Oh dear Lord. And I hope we could have Joel back with us, because
Yes.
I always enjoy talking about AEW and talking about these pay-per-views with you. Always love talking about Graps with my good brother Jay News, and all of you in the chat. You guys have been awesome. We appreciate y'all for joining us for our AEW Double or Nothing 2025 preview. You guys have been great. I Make Beats says a better story would have been Darby stealing the title and taking up the mountain, because why not? I mean, yeah, but then the title would still be gone like it has been for the last what has it been? It's been like 9 months. He's had this title for like 9 months now. 2FK, thank you for the praise. He says get SP3 in the booking room and tell Darby that K2 is another vital mountain to climb. God damn. You just get me, Joe, and Jay News in the booking room. We can fix this company right up. We'll be perfectly fine. Tony, give us the reins. Give us the reins.
I don't need that headache. You can take me out of that equation. I'm good. I know.
No, you just book Dax Harwood and Dustin Rhodes every week. I know you.
I would die within like 3 weeks of taking that job, man.
Put us in creative and let us run our ROH. Fuck it, man. We'll turn it into our own thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And we got that fellow who says if Will somehow gets a hometown moment in London, then Athena better get one. I'm so serious. I love he's been pushing the Athena method all throughout the chat. I appreciate your commitment, good sir. But yes, we've come to the end of our Double or Nothing preview. Thank you so much to Jay News. Thank you so much to Joe Hulbert, our guest star here. Joe, you got so much that you're doing. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and what you got going on. Late Night Grin, WrestlePurists, and everything in between.
Yes, sir. I am at Joe Hulbert on the terribly broken Twitter or X app, which is currently making it very hard to schedule shows like this. So I appreciate that. Late Night Grin, we're doing a paywall show like right after this, but if you've never seen the Late Night Grin, the best place to start is tonight. We are live and free, 11:05 Eastern. We're reviewing some recent wrestling matches. We're looking at the trios match from Dynamite. We're looking at Jordan and Julia from NXT a couple weeks ago. Akira and Hiromu, some DPW, some Marigold. We're looking at a bunch of different stuff. The show is titled Actual Wrestling Talk because we're actually going to have a conversation about wrestling matches tonight on the Grin. So that is Late Night Grin on YouTube. Appreciate you, brother. This was a good time as always.
And the brother who goes to sleep is probably going to go to sleep again. I've been seeing the clips.
Yeah.
Manny, is it Manny?
Yeah.
Always pops me. Great stuff.
Check out the game, brother. It's a tough business on families.
Oh, and he's gonna have a rough night because it's game 2 as well. I know you're a Knicks fan, right? Jay News, let everybody know where they can follow you. Thank you as always, good brother.
Y'all can follow me on the Twitter machine at JohnLYFNMG. You can follow me also every Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Hit the Roast podcast with me and the lovely Dolores. I will be back sometime soon within the next week or two on True Heel Heat to review the Best of Super Juniors tournament going down on New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yeah, let's have a good weekend, folks. Don't burn yourselves out with too much wrestling. Just pick and choose, you know what I'm saying, and catch everything else on the internet. That's all I gotta say about that.
Spitting facts. And you will be joining us on Monday, correct, for the Double or Nothing review?
Sure, why the hell not?
There we go. He needed the reminder, folks. Don't worry, I'm here. You can follow me on the Twitter feed at TrueHillSP3. You can follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Hill Heat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best place to support us when we are not live here. Go over there right now. We had our TNA Under Siege preview. We'll have a TNA Under Siege review over there on the Patreon as well. So you get additional content than what you get here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Some more bang for your buck, but we got plenty of content for you to enjoy here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, like AE Ramble episode 199, Anarchy in the Desert incoming, reviewing this week's AEW Dynamite with me and Jimmy Macaram. We also had our WWE Saturday Night's Main Event and NXT Battleground preview with myself and Shadi from the Wrestling Republic podcast. A lot of fun talking about those shows. Like I said before, the Under Siege preview is over at Patreon, so go over and check that out. And once again, for anyone who missed it at the top of the show, these are your options to watch AEW Double or Nothing this Sunday live on pay-per-view, Prime Video, YouTube, payperview.com, Triller.tv, internationally, not in the US, Dave and Beltzer's nationwide, Fubo, and everything in between. You got it right there, so take a picture. It will last longer. I will be back tomorrow, 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time, with the True Hill Heat flagship podcast. Myself, Miss Chrissy Love, True Jaw Josh, and special guest Sat E. Nyangi of Wrestle Talk. So join us live for that, where we'll be talking about the whole of the wrestling verse and final predictions for Saturday night's main event, Battleground, and Double or Nothing. I'll be back on Sunday for a Saturday night's main event review, and Monday right here for the Double or Nothing review as well. So join us for all of that. But for J News, for Joe Hulbert, for all of you, thank you so much. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our AEW Double or Nothing 2025 preview. We are signing off until next time.